All right, today, guys, I want to talk to you about growing unicorns. Subtitle on this one is How to Create High Performance Successors. So a few years ago, I was part of a learning community called Parish Catalyst. And Parish Catalyst was a Catholic church kind of thing. And the mission of the community was to encourage parish leaders to think creatively, act courageously, and renew the church. And I think that's a great mission statement. I think you could replace parish leaders with small business owners. My mission is to encourage small business owners to think creatively and act courageously. And I think if we substituted small business owners for parish leaders, it would be totally on par with what we as business people want to create in our own businesses. We want to be creative. We want to be courageous. One of the most courageous efforts that I think a business owner can take is that of replacing themselves as the primary technician in their company. A plumber can't decide one day just to not plumb, right? He has to have someone else who is A, qualified, and B, motivated to do the work, and he has to pay for it, which is often the scariest part. It's the same with lots of other professions as well. Most of the business owners who I work with eventually want to expand or scale their business. But the thing that they tell me they struggle with the most is what they call, quote unquote, finding good help, right? While I think it's true that good help can be hard to find, I think that the real problem lies in the assumption that we have to find good help versus growing good help. Okay? So finding great people is great. There are definitely and probably unicorns out there who are a perfect match of qualification, motivation, loyalty, trust, etc., but they're probably just about as rare as actual unicorns. Okay? The other thing that makes finding great people so appealing to us is that it actually takes a very small amount of effort. Okay? We write an ad in our minds, right? We write an ad and poof, they appear. But what's real is more often they don't, right? We don't really have much control over finding them. We can hire firms to help us, headhunting firms, recruiting firms to help us. We can run ads. But if you look back on your history as a small business owner and you think about the greatest help that you've ever found, well, you didn't really find them. They found you. Okay? Finding great people is the lazy man's way to get good help. And by the way, I'm all for a little bit of organizational laziness. We should keep that out there in the world. But growing great people is harder. But it's a significantly more effective way for an owner to replace him or herself. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes a high tolerance for things to not go perfectly all of the time. If it takes a few weeks to find good help, as we said, find good help, it might take a few months or even a few years to grow great help. So the pain that owners often feel in the process isn't the pain of not being able to find someone who's able or even find someone who is willing or even of doing the training. It's the time that it takes to do it well. And what's funny to me is that these same owners who won't take the time to grow great people, quote unquote, because it takes too long, are the same ones who don't let other people do the simple things in their business because, quote, no one else can do this as well as I can. Listen, guys, growing great people is hard because it requires us to behave differently and become okay with the fact that the first few times, or maybe more, that someone else does something that we can do with our eyes closed and one arm tied behind our backs, they are going to fail. Okay? They won't do it as well, as fast, as efficiently, etc., as we do. Of course they won't, right? That's an unrealistic expectation, but one that we bring all the time. They aren't us. So what do we do about this? Okay. Luckily, there's a pretty simple leadership development model that's been passed around through leadership circles for lots and lots of years. I would even say hundreds of years, called the Apprenticeship Model. And I'm going to put it up on the screen as I talk about it. But the apprenticeship model outlines a very simple way to make the very challenging process of replacing yourself or quote-unquote finding good help, growing good help, simpler and more fulfilling. And this is what it looks like. I'll put it up on the screen for a second and let you take a look at it. So here are the pieces. Consider I as the business owner and you as the employee that you are trying to train up to replace yourself or to do something in your absence. So this is how the process goes. Number one, I do, you watch, we talk. In this step, you act as the mentor and your employee acts as the apprentice. The first time you meet, you have your employees simply watch what you're doing. Their job, which you state to them, is to see how you interact, what you say, what you do, and perhaps most importantly, how you lead. After the session, you're simply going to go and talk about what you did and what your employee experienced. I do, you watch, we talk. Number two, I do, you help, we talk. So in this second step, you're going to do, but your employee is going to help. You'll do this several times. And each time you have your employee help with something, each time they do that, it helps them become better. And each time you have your employee help, make it something a little bit more challenging. Then, and this is super important, you're going to make sure to schedule a time to talk about it. Leaders are available to and for each other. So for whatever your employee needs or is challenged with, you need to make yourself available to them. I do, you help, we talk. Third step is you do, I help, we talk. In the third step, your employee does, you help them, and you still schedule time to talk about it. You're starting to let go of more and more control of that actual task, but you still own it, okay? All too often, leaders abdicate responsibility far too quickly. Even though they're doing it and you're helping it, it's still your role. You do, I help, we talk. Number four, you do, I watch. And guess what? We talk. In the fourth step, your employee does everything and you simply watch, okay? Of course, you lean in every now and then because you want them to succeed. This isn't a final exam where there's no cheating, etc. This is like an open book test where eventually your employee needs less and less help from the book. Okay, you still talk afterward. Can't forget that part. And you can always come back to it after you've relinquished control. You can always come back to that part. Okay, after all, you still own the company and you still get to be involved. You do, I watch, we talk. The fifth and final step is you do, and someone else watches. This is when you know you've made the transition and your employee is ready for you to step out completely. They're ready to take over for you, okay? If your employee is able to do this, now they become the mentor. So they're doing, but someone else is watching, and we're starting the cycle all over again. Now they have their own apprentice, and the cycle continues from there. All right, so that's it. 5 steps. I do, you watch, we talk. I do, you help, we talk. You do, I help, we talk. You do, I watch, we talk. You do, someone else watches. Now, that's it. But don't forget what I said about patience and tolerance, okay? This is not going to be an overnight success. Depending on the complexity of the tasks that you're taking on, it could take as little as a week or as much as maybe a year or more to get the results you're looking for before you finally delegate it all the way, okay? Results that are producing highly qualified and a highly motivated successor for your tasks, your job, and your business. It's all about how fast the employee develops. And using a process like this is going to be unique to each of them. But you can expedite the process by staying engaged on the right actions over time and making sure that you don't quit on them. That's it for today, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.